Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the JakebCreates Vanguard Mary. I would consider this a custom. The amount of handwork that goes into each one of these, hand grinding, sculpting, all the stuff that goes into these. I've been a fan of his for quite some time now, so it's really awesome to get the opportunity to review one of his knives. And not to mention, these are actually available right now, which if you know anything about his knives, they usually sell out rather quickly. So this particular version comes with the leather textured kydex, nice minimal kydex. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the carry. So in my opinion, this is the perfect EDC size for both pocket carry, scout carry. It's just a very easy one to carry. Now, if you have large, extra large hands, this one might be a little small for you, but for me, perfection on the size. Coming in at 6.67 inches overall with a 3.24 inch blade. Check that out. Great utilitarian blade shape here. It's going to be excellent at in-hand cuts. You have full power from the heel to the tip because of that straight edge. And this one is in Z-Wear PM steel, as you can see right there. Hardened from 63 to 64 HRC. I've used Z-Wear a few times and tested some Z-Wear. It's a cold work tool steel produced by Zap. And it's supposed to be equivalent to CPM 3V and crew wear and steels like that. And then Zap claims it to be tougher than 3V. I can't tell you that for certain. I've never pushed it to its limits, but that's their claims. It's not technically a stainless, it's a semi-stainless, kind of like D2 is. This particular variant has a blasted stone wash finish. And check this needle-like tip out. Look at that. I gotta be honest, I was a little concerned with how thin that tip is. We're gonna test it out in just a moment, but great piercer there, and the fine, intricate, detailed stuff, it's gonna really shine. The jimping on this one is absolute perfection. Look at that. That's how it's done right there. It's not a big row, but I mean, when I say grips the thumb, if you need to grip, it's great. If you don't need to, you can move past it. It's not uncomfortable. Perfectly executed sharpening notch right there. You're going to get tons of sharpening life before you have to ever think about doing anything with that. And that's exactly what I want to see on my fixed blades. I don't want to see a big old sharpening choil because I can easily open it up. That way I don't have to have it any larger than it has to be, so I'm not getting hung up whenever I'm doing in-hand cuts. Your blade stock thickness on this one's coming in at 0.13 inches, and it has a nice deep hollow grind. This thing is ground super thin. Let's see if I can even, I'm not going to show you this, but let me try to get the focus right there. Focus. And it's probably not focusing, but incredibly thin to around 7 thousandths behind the edge. So as long as it came sharp, it should be a great performer. Why don't we find out? All I can say is wow. This thing came with a fantastic edge, straight from maker, and it's got some fantastic geometry. You know, this is the perfect blade shape for doing this type of stuff. If you break down a lot of cardboard boxes, this is really going to shine. This blade shape is really going to shine at that for sure. And when I got to the ergo testing, I don't think, watch how it's just wanting to take chunks off. I'm trying to use the least amount of pressure as possible, but such a thin grind, it's so hard. I'm not a bushcraft or anything, but man, I'm able to make some fine curls, but it just wanted to bite. And I finally was like, whatever, just let it bite, because, you know, I'm really just testing for ergos and making sure it's got a good edge to it, and that it does on both ends. I got just enough handle for my medium-sized hands to where I can get a lot of force into the wood if I want, and I can do those more delicate tasks pretty easily as well. No hot spots at all. Lifted up on the block because of the straight edge. It would have been way too hard for me, at least, to cut something like this. And the knife has excellent bite to it, and yeah, it's going through it like a hot knife through butter. There was a couple of times where I'm cutting down into the piece of wood, that block right there, and I knew how thin the edge was, and you got to be careful. You know, you torque on an edge like that, you could warp the edge, especially if the heat treat's not spot on. And there was 2 or 3 times. I cut it out because there was a lot of dead space, because I actually thought I chipped out the edge. Like, I thought the sound it made, I thought I took a chunk out of it. I literally stopped and looked and inspected the edge, and I was thinking this was in Nitro V, and the amount of torque whenever I slammed down onto the wood, I think it probably would have blew out the edge. But this is in Z-Wear, so Z-Wear is a super tough steel, similar to 3V, and that makes a lot more sense. I also jammed the tip into my cutting board. I don't remember what portion of this. I think I was cutting one of the tubings, and I thought I snapped the tip on it. Because, I mean, I went into it hard, and it made this tink noise. Let's see. Maybe it was whenever. I don't know. But twice, I remember checking it. My heart dropped. I thought I snapped it. And nope, it's good. And that's very surprising on how thin this tip is. So that right there shows it's got a nice quality heat treat. Great job. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. This thing, when I say slicey, I mean glides through material. That hollow grind is so thin. The knife came wicked sharp. I knew it would because he tests the sharpness after he sharpens them on the belt. And look how small that edge bevel is. It's probably a little obtuse. I didn't check it, but as soon as I'm done with this review, I'm going to put my own edge on it anyway, and I'll see what it is, and I'll lay it back accordingly. But that small of a bevel, I can promise you, and that deep of a hollow grind, it's going to stay thin for a good while before you ever see any thickening. And that tip. Man, there was a portion, and I don't know if I talked about it during the testing, where I forget what I was doing. I think I was cutting down like this, and that tip went into my cutting board, and I heard a tink, and I thought my tip went bye-bye. My heart sank, and I thought I snapped the tip. I forgot. I was thinking for some reason that this was Nitro V, because I have another one of his fixed blades in Nitro V, and Nitro V's tough, but the sound this one made whenever I buried the tip in, and I think I kind of turned it a little bit, Nitro V, it would have snapped. But, now that I'm aware, even though it said on the blade, I'm not paying attention to that kind of stuff. But now that I was aware, that makes sense. It's going to have good springiness to it. Now, this isn't a hard use knife by any means, but it handled that tip being buried into my cutting board. It would have snapped most tips that thin in other steels. But great performance. The ergos, I was a little worried because I just get a 4-finger grip on it. Just get it by medium-sized hands. And I was going to tie a lanyard to the end. I like how he puts it at the bottom right there. So if I do tie a little snubby knot right there to grab a hold to, it's going to make it feel like an extension of that handle. But everything that I did in hand, it was fine. I had enough handle. The pinch grip, man, is really good. He puts a deep enough chamfer on those scales to where I can grab a hold to that. So if I'm pulling back, I got something to have resistance on. And that nice thin blade geometry, man, it just went through material so well. This reverse pull grip is comfortable. I have enough separation from that edge that I'm not concerned with it. And if for some odd reason you want to do the reverse gas station knife fight grip, you can do that as well, as long as you don't have huge mitts. But like I said, for me, this pinch grip and in hand cuts in that hammer grip, comfortable. You got nice contouring on these brown G10 scales, and you got this nice random like rock pattern texture on the G10 done by hand. The fitment on these scales is perfection. No gaps, no high spots. Very nice craftsmanship there. Perfectly mated. You can see that they line up. The plunge grind on my knife is perfect. I love the pop of color, even though brown's not really my cup of tea. I don't mind it, but blue's my favorite color, and he's got blue G10 pins. I love that pop of color. He's without a doubt an artist through and through. Very high quality USA made EDC fixed blade. So as far as carry goes, y'all know I have an Ulti-Clip on it. I will say the way this one's set up for the amount of handle that comes out whenever I'm carrying it, see how it comes out like that? But for me, I have my lightweight shorts on with this pocket back here. So sometimes I'll clip it there, or I'll just close my Ulti-Clip and carry it like that. And then that's all you have sticking out. I can pull it out retrieve it, use it, put it back. But if you're somebody who likes to carry, scout carry, you know, anywhere horizontally on the belt, pretty sure these come with a soft loop. If not, this package, how minimal it is and slender, great here. So that's where another place I like to carry them, in the front right here. And if you wanted to carry in the back, you probably could, but I'm not sure how easy it would be to retrieve it like that. And it's a very compact package, but here, great. Love it in this. You don't see it at all, it doesn't print. And then of course in my pocket, you know, I drop it in the back pocket also, especially if I have pants on, and it's great there also. But love the sheath and love how compact it is. Jacob does excellent Kydex work. I have 1, 2, 3. This will make the 4th knife of his that I own, and the Kydex is perfect on all of them. You got a nice little push-off ramp. You made a nice minimal Kydex here and push off rather easily. Nice positive click. No rattle. And for some size comparisons, here it is next to some of my other JakebCreates knives. So as you can see, it's a good bit smaller to the JakebCreates O-Tickler. And compared to my all-time favorite design of his, it's a little bit longer than the JakebCreates Bush Mary. And it's a little bit shorter than the JakebCreates Bush Bandit. And it dwarfs the JakebCreates Chickadee. It's just barely, I mean a hair shorter than the Essie Azula 2, and it's a little longer than the Big Idea Designs the Lookout. And it's a little shorter than the White River M1, and it's very similar in length to the Reef Knives F3. And it's just a little shorter than the Bradford Guardian 3 and the Kumwu Stiffy P. And lastly, it's shorter than both the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. And being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? These are all nitpicks personally, but with a non-stainless, the blasted stone wash finish kind of makes me nervous because I live in a super high humid environment, and when you put a blasting on a blade, it opens up the pores on the blade because it has microscopic pits, so water droplets can hang out in there. But I'm just going to keep it maintained. You know, I usually put some Wicked Wax in my blades, and I haven't had any issues, or some EDCI, and I've been good, so, you know, I'm not too concerned with it. And lastly, like I said, just a minor thing, being that I love the pocket carry, I wish, and I don't know if there's, because I don't make Kydex, so I don't know how they work, how it would function too well, but if it could have come up to about right here, that way it would have sat better inside the pocket. But like I said, the way it sits, it's a great horizontal carry fixed blade. And I also have my little side pocket that I carried in, so it doesn't really affect me much. If I wanted to, I could pull this clip up, but sometimes it makes it hard to retrieve the knife. But that's kind of what I did on my Bush Mary. Just kind of came up, and then that way it sits, you know, that much further, and that usually does the trick. But with that said, what are my final thoughts on the JakebCreates Vanguard Mary? Well, if you're in the market for a very high quality, performance driven EDC fixed blade, then yeah, I highly recommend checking out the Vanguard Mary or any of his designs. He hasn't produced a knife that I did not like the look of yet, especially knowing that he loves using all different steels, and whenever he does use a certain steel, he treats them with a performance heat treat, you know, the upper end of the HRC of that steel, and they come very nice and slicey with these thin grinds. And that's what I enjoy, especially in an EDC fixed blade, because my EDC fixed blades, they're not meant to be hard use tools. At least mine aren't. Just because if I want something to be a hard use knife, I'm going to use a much bigger fixed blade than one of my EDC fixed blades. That's just me personally. You may like to pry with yours, and this isn't the one. So like I said, if you're looking for a great performer with a super high degree of fit and finish, I mean, you can tell he puts a lot of work into these knives. And I can promise you, the ones I have won't be the last I get from him. I'm already on the hunt for another Bush Mary. So that's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any questions in particular, feel free to ask me down below. Or if you have a question for Jacob, you can ask him down below as well. And if he doesn't see it, I will point him in your direction. If you're interested in picking up a Vanguard Mary, I will have it linked down below in the description. Even if you're not, do yourself a favor, go check out his site and you can check out some of his other designs. Now he does drops, so they're probably all going to be sold out unless you just happen to be there for a drop. But I'm sure he has an email list, so if he does and you're interested, definitely sign up for it. You can follow him on Instagram. He shows a lot of his work there and also usually announces when drops are happening. He's also on TikTok. I follow him there as well. He has some videos of him showing him do some of the hand grinding and his new shop. He's based out of California. And yeah, that's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any questions in particular, feel free to ask me down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a remarkable day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp. Smile more. Peace.